Carrera, realizing the situation after Zeth's prompting, gritted her teeth. She had been enjoying her little confrontation so far, but after her parade got rained on like this, she lost all interest. Then she felt a chill. She instinctively leaped back, and a moment later, the place where she was exploded. Excellent, said Zeth. Thanks to you, I am one step closer to becoming a new creator. I want to test this power, and I'll need your help. Also speaking more naturally than before, he opened and closed his fists as he addressed Carrera. It was the strong speaking down to the weak, an attitude that trampled all over Carrera's pride. Aha! Funny to hear that from you, she said. You want me to be your sparring partner for that? You do not have the right to refuse. As soon as he said it, Zeth lightly flicked out his fist. It was a gentle jab lodged at several dozen times the speed of sound. The shockwave was strong enough to burn the air and shatter the ground. Clearly, he was more powerful than before. Zeth's EP hadn't doubled, but it had likely seen a major upgrade. More troubling was the fact that he had likely gained an array of new special skills. What a cowardly move, Carrera grumbled. She had constructed a path to victory for herself, and now it was back to the drawing board. But as difficult as it had become, she didn't think it was impossible. Zeth might have more power, but it didn't seem like he had gained any new battle expertise. If Zeth had shown off a mastery on the level of Zijin, Carrera would have felt mortally endangered, but there was no feeling like that. Despite her qualms, she hadn't lost her cool yet. That being said, Zeth had just publicly dissed her, and she couldn't wait to pay him back for that. So Carrera's smile hadn't faded from her face because she had fallen into despair at the sight of Zeth's power. No, the problem was more with his friends. That one over there looks like bad news, Carrera thought. She looks stronger than my prey here. Tag team or not, I wonder if Obela and Middre can beat her. By Carrera's estimation, it would take the combined efforts of Goptaronga, Geld, Caroleon, and Fry just to maybe defeat Mujika. That was how formidable he had become as well. Even if that did come to pass, it was still a coin flip, and any self-sacrifice is against the will of my master. Carrera remained faithful to Rimuru's orders. She was engaging Zeth like this because if she took on the toughest enemy, that would prevent casualties among any of her allies. That, of course, was based on the premise that Milim would do something about Zaranas, the enemy's leader, but if Carrera took on their number 2 fighter, she figured the rest would work itself out. Now that this assumption was proven to be wrong, she didn't want to be stuck with Zeth, who had become number 3 in the pecking order. It was time for her to make a momentous decision. I wanted to save this in case something came up, but I don't want to regret keeping it under wraps. Sorry, Zeth. I would have enjoyed fighting with you more, but it looks like this is going to be goodbye. She turned toward Zeth, apologizing internally. She had wanted to defeat him with her core strength for the sake of gaining experience, but if her friends' lives were at stake, she couldn't put her own fun first. So, her mind made up, she pointed her golden gun at him. Hey! Don't you understand yet that it doesn't work on me? As Zeth said this, the magic bullets condensed by Carrera's gun were only powerful enough to damage Zeth's exoskeleton, damage from which he immediately healed and regenerated, so it essentially did nothing. She continued to use her gun as a distraction, however, as well as one other, more important, reason. All right, she said. Die, then. It was also her trump card when push came to shove. Before Carrera's words reached Zeth, a bullet shot out from the golden gun, a judgment bullet, capable of felling anything that existed. Zeth froze as he looked at the hole in his chest. Then, a beat later, came the sensation of his life fading from him. The magic ore that maintained his existence was destroyed, and he understood there was no escaping the death advancing upon him. You were going easy from the start. No. We were about equal in actual strength, and you're a pretty impressive sight now. If we went all out against each other, it would have been tough to beat you. So, why else? Fighting a battle she couldn't predict the outcome of was fun to Carrera, but her personal concerns could no longer take first priority. The more Carrera struggled against Zeth, the greater the chance her friends would be wiped out. But there was another, more personal reason. The fight has been interesting enough for me, but you're weaker than Zijin, so, I think I'm good now. With a big, innocent smile, Carrera told Zeth the truth, a truth that plunged him into despair. It was a very demonic thing to do, but that sort of thing came naturally to her. I was inferior. I was destined to become a new creator. His voice sounded full of regret as he spoke his last words. Even seeing the end of such a powerful enemy like this, Carrera didn't feel she had accomplished much. Without even a moment spent basking in her achievement, she was about to head over to help Gobta and his cohorts, but then a hidden enemy made his move. Hehehe. I was waiting for this moment. What? She had detected no one else near her, but Carrera was startled by the sudden pain that ran through her arms, not actual pain, but data impulses reporting to her brain about the damage. An unbelievably heavy, violent shock had smashed itself against her, striking the arms she had put up to defend her vital points. It was the work of the insect Lord Zeranus, who evaded even Carrera's universal detect before making his appearance. Carrera's instincts reacted quickly enough, but if it were anyone else, that one blow would have ended it. Heh. About time you showed up, she said. Why the hurry? If you are within attack range, I will not hesitate to crush you. Just as he said, Zeranus was looking for any and every opportunity to hit Carrera. He far outclassed her in skill, something he was rightly proud of, but still he laid low and waited for the perfect opportunity, fearing what may happen otherwise. It was Carrera's judgment bullets that scared him. Minaza, sent out as part of the Vanguard force, had once sent a report warning him about a man named Kondo. She didn't go into great detail about all his abilities, but based on her observations, Kondo had an unknown but extremely dangerous skill, a description Zeranus took seriously. He later inquired with Michael and Feldway about it, and when he did, he learned that Kondo's skill had been transferred to Carrera. Thanks to this research, Zeranus had come at least somewhat prepared for what was to come. Michael's castle guard seemed to block the attack, but Zeranus had nothing like that. He had concerns about his own personal security, so he wanted to wait for Carrera to break out that fearsome skill on someone else before he had to deal with it. Call it caution, call it cowardice, but it was one factor that made Zeranus the strongest of his kind. Now that the moment had arrived, all his concerns were gone. They had lost Zeth, a truly valuable pawn, but it was clear he'd had good reason to be so vigilant. Enemy or not, it was a truly wonderful weapon, Zeranus thought. If it were used on me, I'm not sure I would have survived it. Despite that praise, Zeranus's concerns about Carrera were already in the past. He had covered all the bases, and with that, the demon didn't seem dangerous in the slightest. Carrera, too, understood the danger as she looked Zeranus in the eye. This is a dangerous foe. Great. I can't even see how far down his power goes. It felt like she was facing Zijin or someone worse. Zeranus had no openings to exploit. She had no clue how to begin tackling him. She hated to admit it, but she had to. She might have been the Menace Lord, but the Insect Lord had her outclassed. But not even that was going to make Carrera give up so easily. Pretty petty move for a so-called king, isn't it? She asked. Even now, she wasn't afraid to rile him. But Zeranus had her beat there. Trying to act strong at this point. You demons are all incredibly sore losers, aren't you? He looked down on Carrera, calm and composed, the attitude of a winner. Oh, you think you've already won this? Isn't that a little too arrogant around the likes of me? She was quick to retort, but the breezy, relaxed look on her face was gone. A single kick from Zeranus had crushed both her arms. She could barely ready her golden gun, much less hold her sword. Her skeleton was originally crafted by Rimuru from Orichalc, which had subsequently evolved into crimson steel. It boasted god-class strength, toughness, and resistance, making it unbreakable. Maybe it would have been understandable if a god-class weapon had damaged it, but a mere kick. It was beyond unexpected. That alone showed just the kind of threat the Insect Lord posed. The secret behind it was made clear by looking at Zeranus's body. His exoskeleton shone in a dazzling array of colors, the sheen of crimson steel. So his whole body is crimson steel. It was clear from looking at the Insect Lord that he was a kind of ultimate life form, the perfect combination of offense and defense. His entire body was both a deadly weapon and an impenetrable shield. Slowly, Carrera observed his entire body. The fine, silvery hairs that ran from his forehead down his back gave the appearance of a long head of hair, but upon closer inspection, each hair had a tiny ridge that resembled a blade. Every single one was made of crimson steel that shone every color of the rainbow, depending on the angle you observed from. I suppose each hair is a god-class blade. I don't know how he controls them, but they could chop me up into bits if I'm not careful.